From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
I can put you in.
Wake up! What is up? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. The website, cptallybar.com, or pull out the phone, open up the camera app, get onto that QR code, tap it, boom, you're right on the website. You can place your order to go online. You can also check out what's going on this weekend over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill off Appalachia Parkway in the capital city. Pretty good chance Corey Clark will be hanging out there. So why don't you go by, hang out with him, have some delicious food, some great drinks, maybe throw some darts, shoot some pool, get on the jukebox, muscle Corey off of it. Corey will be joining us for over an hour of great content, so we kind of split this up a little bit. We knocked out Renegade Express earlier on, and then we're going to come up top of it with this, which is Jermaine Johnson analysis, if you will. 26 overall to the Jets, first rounder, a little bit longer than we had hoped for, but it all works out in the end. So Corey and I kicking that around for a little bit. But, hey, we'd be remiss if we did not talk about this. This went final after we had done Renegade Express, but Florida State takes down number 7 Oklahoma State in softball 2-1 in extras on Thursday night here in Tallahassee. Danielle Watson goes 7 innings, 5 Ks. Mac Leonard entered in the 8th and grabbed the final 6 outs, and she did not allow a single hit. What a great tandem platoon we have going on there. Offensively, the Noles came from behind, tied things up in the 3rd inning. Kaylee Mudge, Sydney Sherrill got on base with a single and a walk. They advanced to 2nd and 3rd on a wild pitch, and then Mac Leonard with a single for an RBI to tie the game up. And then in the bottom of the 9th, Sherrill, Kaylee Harding, Mac Leonard all reach base with 1 out to load the bases, and then with the bases jacked, Devin Flaherty hit a ground ball to short, but an overthrow allowed Sherrill to slide home safely and get the Noles a win. They are now 12-2 against ranked teams. It's their 4th walk-off of the year. They are 44-5. They are really freaking good. So shout out to them. Congrats. Their series continues on this weekend. They'll finish it off on Friday night, 6 o'clock ESPNU. So tune in for that. All right, without further ado then, Corey Clark and I talking about Jermaine Johnson getting drafted by the New York Jets. Enjoy. Florida State defensive end Jermaine Johnson drafted on the first night of the 2022 NFL Draft. 26th overall to the New York Jets, maybe a little later than we had anticipated. But our guy becomes the 46th Florida State Seminole to be a first-round draft pick, Corey Clark. Thoughts, instant analysis, reaction, friend. But first, thumbs up, everybody.
To me, or just, hit that like button. Smash that like button, folks, like Jermaine Johnson smashes quarterbacks. I think we all thought it would be around 10-ish that he would get drafted. That's what we were all told by the experts. Are we going to keep believing these people, folks? That's all I'm saying. I mean, that was crazy. He was Mel Kiper's best available for about an hour and a half on Thursday night with the draft. But, look, the good news is he was a first-round pick. It's guaranteed money, a lot of money. He is a millionaire as we speak. He made himself a lot of money. And what's cool about it is the Jermaine Johnson story is a kid betting on himself, leaving a great program, one that would go on to win the national championship with some pretty good defensive players, going to a school that's struggling, but believing in himself enough to go take that chance, hoping that he could raise his draft stock, and he raises it to a first-round pick. He became a multimillionaire on Thursday night with just simply his name being called. I think it was probably about 12 or 14 spots-ish later than he thought. In fact, after the draft, after he was drafted, he said the Jets had told him they were going to take him, and they picked at 10th. Picked at 10, and they didn't take him. So he might have wondered there. But they came back and got him at 26, and the Jets look like on paper they had a really good draft. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But overall, man, I feel like there's probably I don't know. How do you frame it when you're a first round pick and you just became a multimillionaire, but you hope to be drafted higher? Is it a disappointment? He's in Vegas on a Thursday night as a first round draft pick. I feel like it's a great night in the life of Jermaine Johnson, right?
Oh yeah, it was disappointing for that hour and a half where he was the best available on Mel Kiper's board, but it's instantly washed away. It's waiting for that job to call you back, and you're just nerve-wracked all day, and then finally you get the phone call. You got the job. You fulfilled your dream. I mean, it's the American dream, man. If you look at your screen, I know this is also part of our podcast for Friday morning, but he was a 4-star coming out of Independence, that JUCO. But even before that, they mentioned on the telecast, we've heard it from him. He had no offers coming out of high school, didn't have the grades to go to an FBS Division I program. Figures things out, goes to JUCO, works his rear end off, goes to Georgia as part of some success there. And then, as Corey, you said, man, bets on himself, comes to Florida State. And now he's a first-round pick, man, the 46th in Florida State history. It's incredible, man. Great for him. Although, what was up with the draft day outfit? The yellow.
You didn't like it? You weren't a fan of it?
Somebody in the group chat said it looks like he works for Spirit Airlines.
Okay, well, look, man, he was
maybe
doing what he
NIL.
had to do. Yeah.
Maybe he's working some NIL on the next level. All right, so I don't know. We really can't say why he dropped to 26. So if you're a Jets fan looking for some analysis on that, probably can't help you all that much. Maybe how he matched up against NC State's offensive tackle who went in the high end of the first round, maybe gave some folks a little bit of pause. But just how good is Jermaine, man? He's it, right? I mean, in terms of pass rusher in this day and age, getting after the quarterback, affecting the pocket. I mean, he's the goods, right?
Well, but it's not just that, right? Like, yeah, he led the ACC in sacks. He was one of the Power 5 leaders in sacks. He might have led Power 5 in sacks. It was really close. He was the ACC Player of the Year. But he's not just a one-hit. He's not one-trick pony, right? Like, he played the run really well too. He's not the biggest defensive end in the world, but he played the run really well. And I just think I think the world of that kid as a player because what he has is he's got talent, he's got length, but he's got a motor. And that's something you can't really teach. You either have or you don't. And what I think I was most impressed by with Jermaine Johnson in 2021 was that motor. It never stopped. Even when he was on an 0-4 football team to start the season, even when they were down late in games, that motor never stopped. And when you couple that with the talent he already has, I feel like that's a great combination. And yeah, I think it's a sure thing this kid plays a decade in the league. Again, that's my opinion. I would be stunned if this kid is not playing football when he's 30 years old in the NFL. He has everything you'd want. He has size, he has strength, and he has that mindset that he's not going to be one of these guys that gets his money and is just happy with it. In fact, being drafted 26th might put a huge chip on his shoulder, right? Because he thinks he should have been drafted higher. So not only do you get a kid that always plays hard, always busts his butt, and that's not just in games, that's in practice according to teammates and coaches, but has real ability. He's quick twitch for that size. He's long. He's physical. He's just everything you'd kind of want in a defensive end. We'll see how it translates at the next level in that scheme. But man, I think the Jets hit a home run there at 26. Man, I don't know that you could get more value at 26 than that. And I think the thing that's cool about Jermaine, man, and I don't know if people were concerned that he went to JUCO and then transferred from Georgia. I don't know what concerns would be about Jermaine Johnson. All I know is Florida State coaches could not say enough good things about him. And look, yes, of course, on record they're not gonna dog one of their players to a media member. Off the record, though, when literally they say, look, this is off the record, we're not talking about it. Everything, like, this isn't for public consumption. Everything they said was positive. Yeah, well, I won't say what was said because it was off record. But everything was overwhelmingly positive. Yeah. Not just what a kid he was, what kind of player he was, but the student he was and the teammate he was. Everything they said about the kid was positive from the minute he got on campus.
Got a clean bill of health too. Usually when these sort of things happen, there's either like a serious character concern or there's injury concerns, and he's durable. And, I saw Walter Football report maybe about character flaws. But again, man, the staff had nothing but good things to say about him. His teammates had nothing but great things to say about him. He was a leader. He put some spirit into a downtrodden defensive unit from 2020 to 2021. The leaps they made in Tallahassee and Florida State is really impressive. So they got themselves a good one, man. Yeah, shout out to my guy too. Mercedes Mike, big time Jets fan. So they got a good one there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they got the Gardner kid right with the 4th pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, they did a really nice. Right? Yeah, they had a really nice first round. Not that this is we're talking about the Jets here necessarily, but look, what I think is really cool, and that was a good point. There might be some Jets fans watching this. Jermaine Johnson in 1 year became I would say, man, one of the all-time fan favorites. This fan base has been so starved for a player like this, and for a player like this that they feel like they is one of them. And if you noticed, Aslan, when he's walking to the podium, his whole crew behind him, I say his crew, his family and friends that are behind him, that are excited for him, are all doing the chop as he's walking towards the podium. This is not a guy. I mean, he became a Florida State guy in 1 year. He became beloved by the fan base, and I think he loved Florida State. Like, he fell in love with this place, and so that's what makes it even cooler, man. This didn't feel like I know it ended up being a 1 year, just a 1 year spot for him at Florida State, but this wasn't just
the 26th pick in the 2022 NFL.
Did I lose you?
Well, yeah, but I heard you play in a video.
Oh, well,
yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, but it wasn't just like a mercenary job here, right? Where he's like, I'm going there. I'm going to get my own. I don't really care if we win. I want to raise my stock, and hopefully we have hopefully we have a nice season, but I don't care either way. I just want to raise my stock so I can go get paid. This was not that. Now, he did raise his stock, and he is getting paid, as we talked about. But, man, as you see right there with them doing the chop, that's really cool, man. But he became a Florida State Seminole. He wasn't a rental. I know it was 1 year, but he doesn't feel like a rental, does he? He's a guy that's going to say Florida State proudly for the rest of his NFL career, and that resonates with Florida State fans because he became a fan favorite, but number one, by how good he was, number two, how hard he played, and then number three, how he talked about Florida State every time he was asked about it.
It's just a really weird draft too, man. And to your point, I mean, I don't know about 10 years. I thought Rashad Green was going to play 10 years too.
Sure.
That didn't work out. But just a really weird draft, man, in terms of Trayvon Walker coming out of nowhere almost and becoming the first overall pick, and then Aiden Hutchinson falls to second overall. There's a lot of pass rushers, edge rushers that went ahead of Jermaine, so it's going to be kind of cool to be able to follow those kind of career arcs and see who got the best value, if you will. Because I don't think anybody's a slam dunk that really got drafted in the top end of the draft this season. But, man, Jermaine going 26, that's just, man, what a value pick. Not to be that guy, but that's just what it kind of strikes me as.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And again, great for him. Great for Norvell that he flew all the way to Vegas, and the kid actually was drafted on Thursday night. That would have been something, a holdover that he had to stay till Friday. It was getting dicey there for a second, but yeah, man, I just think the Jets hit all. You couldn't have asked for anything better at 26 than the ACC Player of the Year with those measurables and that production on the field.
We're in the time machine now. We're going back in time to get to the Renegade Express. All your questions over on the Tribal Council of Warchant.com. We recorded this previously before the draft, so bear with me as I try to, finagle with the tense of your guys' questions to make them still relevant. Corey, we begin with S. Quinn 67. Wake up. Hope everybody feels as honored as I do that we can call Jermaine Johnson a Seminole. He seems to have done everything right since arriving in Tallahassee. Hope he has a great NFL career and makes a ton of money for himself and his family. Aye. With that being said, Corey and Aslan, in your opinion, who are the top 5 NFL Seminoles of all time based on the entirety of their NFL careers? Go Noles, S. Quinn 67, class of 1993. All right, so is it their FSU and NFL career, or just based on the entirety of their NFL career? So just NFL pro only?
I mean, they have 5 Hall of Famers now, right?
Is it 5?
Yeah, I think Leroy Butler made it 5.
Okay.
So that seems like the easiest answer, right?
Yeah.
Dion, Biletnikoff, Walter Jones, Derek Brooks, and Leroy Butler.
Done.
I would say honorable mention is Anquan and Warwick Dunn.
Okay.
I think Anquan might get in one day. Warwick Dunn probably won't, but he was very good for a long time. He was not like, an all-pro every year or anything, but he was good. He was a good NFL player for, I think, 12, 15 years. I mean, it seems like he was in the league for maybe not that long, 10 years or so. And Anquan, I think, should probably be in the Hall. Plus what they do off the field should matter.
There's 2 of us on the show, but sometimes one of us says enough. I don't disagree with anything you said, Corey. On to the next question. Thank you.
Who do you think the best is? Who do you think the best is?
Best NFL career? I
Yeah.
mean, that's tough because Derek Brooks was the archetype for, the linebacker position for an entire defensive scheme that got adapted by every team in the NFL. He was drafted in the 20s. So in terms of value, he's probably the best value of a first-round pick. I mean, Walter, I saw some crazy stat when he got inducted. I think he might have had 3 holding calls his entire career in the NFL. But, I mean, it's so hard to talk about how they did on the field because everything off the field also kind of factors in. And just Deion's persona just makes it kind of silly to bet against him.
I mean, you could make an argument that Derek Brooks is the best outside linebacker of all time, or was when he retired. Deion's the best cornerback of all time, and Walter Jones might be the best offensive tackle of all time.
Not a bad little school in Tallahassee.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. That's crazy. Now just go get when Travis Hunter transfers back to Florida State next year, you might have the best two-way player of all time.
All right. Primetime 92. It's been a while. Wake up, gents. He's got some programming suggestions. I was thinking of some new possible segments that you guys could run over the slower summer months. How about the WAGs of Warchant Live? It stands for Wives and Girlfriends, WAGs. Could be a funny live show with the wives and girlfriends telling funny stories of what they think of FSU football and ripping on their better halves. Maybe Aslan could moderate to prevent the show from turning into a Corey Clark roast.
Okay. So he's suggesting just Shanna and Stephanie?
Well, no, I think, Stacy.
Ex-wives, right?
Everybody knows.
Oh, I thought it was just
Kim
the Wake Up Warchant crew. Oh, okay, the whole Warchant crew. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It interviews significant others. Yeah. Tom's married. Jeff's married. Yeah. Ira's obviously married. Jean's married. Yeah. I was married. We got some Austin's going to get married, right? Yeah. Michael's married. Yeah, we could do that. That's not a bad idea.
We're in all the life cycles. All the life cycles relationships are going on. Warchant.com.
Yeah.
My other idea is Keeping It Cool with Corey, presented by Recess. It would involve Corey in a bathing suit, chilling by the Recess pool, drinking a Mai Tai as he interviews various players from the team. Every interview would start out with a bro hug, followed by uncomfortable personal questions. Every interview ends with Corey doing a cannonball in the pool. What do you guys think? Also love the banter. You guys crack me up. That's awesome. Let's do it. Let's make it. I'll write up a treatment and everything. We'll start shopping it around.
And you want so the idea is for me to talk to other dudes at Recess. Yeah. Like to go to Recess. We're both just chilling out by the pool. We're talking to players. All obviously shirtless. Well, you said you hesitated there.
No,
I
think that's yeah.
Okay, you agree.
Just thinking about you and your new physique. Just
the new bod
in the sun.
Right. Yeah, Body by Bill. So I would say it's not a bad idea. I burn really easily. And I had skin cancer last year. So I feel like I'd be like lathered in I don't know, man, ranch dressing. Like I can't get the sun on me. So we'd have to be in the shade.
We get you under an umbrella, or
get
maybe
an umbrella.
Be in the water. Be in the water up to your neck, and then have maybe a cap on or something.
Okay. Well, I feel like that loses the element of getting to see my body.
All right. Well, you're right. Right. We got to show off
the
goods.
Saying? Yeah. Right. Sure. The cannonball, I love it. I don't mind the idea. We'll definitely, we could have some fun by the pool. We'll see which players. Hey, do you want to go hang out with the bald dude in his mid-40s at a pool and have him ask you questions? Then y'all can do cannonballs.
Cut the check. As long as you cut the check, they'll show up.
We're paying them. They'll come to they'll do it here. They'll come to my living room.
All right. Thank you, Primetime 92. Appreciate it.
Yo, you hear that? That's the sound of the hottest new club, the Zaxby's Signature Club Sandwich. It's everything you love about our original sandwich, but, clubbier. Hand-breaded chicken, bacon, and cheese, and your choice of Zax sauce or spicy Zax sauce. Try one today with fries and a drink. Only at Zaxby's. Can we turn it down now?
And don't forget to listen in for the Zaxby's indescribably good Player of the Week every Monday on Wake Up Warchant.
Pistol Mike. Wake up. Good morning, gentlemen. Have not written in a while, but I haven't missed an episode. You guys just keep pumping out awesome shows. His words.
Thanks, buddy.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Pistol Mike. As an FSU brat and FSU alum, I want to get your opinions on 2 games my family should attend this year. We're moving back east, and we will be living near Tallahassee for the first time since 2011, and this is the first time my wife and I will have an opportunity to see a game in person since Clemson 2014. All right, good.
Okay.
Good. You're back. Good vibes.
Yeah.
That was a good one. My wife and I are both alums from the Lost Decade, but we did not miss any games the entire time, and my children, 5, 7, and 9, Attaboy. Way to get it done. Are huge fans and want to see a game in person. If you were only able to see 2 games this season at Doak, one with your young kids and one where you can relive your glory days from college, which 2 would you choose? Take care, and I look forward to meeting the Warchant crew one Friday this season at the CP.
I would say when you want to, maybe not for kids, would be the Florida game or the Clemson game.
Relive
right?
the glory
too
days,
intense.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's when you want to relive the glory days. Go with some buddies that are, more age appropriate because you never know what's going to happen in the stands. Clemson game might be at night. It can be a little dicey for elementary kids to see some of that. Although I was subjected to it, and look how great I turned out. So maybe that's not
how
the
old were you your first
it
game?
needed.
Like your first game. How old were you? Do you remember? Not the actual game, but just what the game was.
It was the 82 Gator Bowl, so I was 7.
Oh, man. John Clark, what up?
Yep. And it poured on us. And then I feel like the next game I went to was the next bowl game they played, which was the Peach Bowl, so that was close to home in 83. And that's when I said it was like 9 degrees or 20 degrees or whatever it was, and it was really cold. So those were my first 2 games were bowl games. 7 and 8. But back then, I don't feel like people were quite as rowdy and itching to fight. I think social media has kind of all tuned people to that frequency a little bit more. Where like, what'd you say? And I don't know why, but I think people on social media are used to talking a certain way, like over social media, and then when they say the same thing to somebody's face, it's not met with a a mute button. So yeah, I would say so. Clemson is probably the one you want to just go and relive the glory days and get into a fight. That's fine. And then what would you say for the Louisiana?
Either that or Georgia Tech maybe. I think Georgia Tech's after Clemson, you got an off week. Maybe people will be a little bit relaxed. Bring the kids for that one. But yeah, I would think Louisiana or Georgia Tech, those are probably going to be nooners, I would think. Nooners, 3:30s, bring the kids, get in and out.
I would have said Duquesne, but I just fear it's going to be too hot, man, and those kids will be miserable when it's 97 degrees. So I would say maybe a little bit later in the year when it's more pleasant and not nearly as hot.
Yeah. All right, I agree. Well done. There we go. Solutions-based podcast. That's what we are.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pistol Mike. Grumpy BK, if we do not get another solid transfer or 2 before the deadline, I would say that we probably did not get a lot of mileage out of Jermaine's great campaign with us. Yet, sure, it provided influence, or rather, it probably influenced Jared Verse, but he's not coming from an established Power 5 program. If we could have pulled Amarius Mims, I would categorize it as a much different outcome. I'm not sure how much the receivers that came in were really driven by Jermaine Johnson, but I could certainly be wrong. I would like, in no certain order, a defensive end, a linebacker, a defensive tackle, a wide receiver, or a quarterback, please.
Yeah, I would say, look, you got, according to the people that were recruiting him and the people that know, Verse was either number 1 or 1A as far as defensive ends in the portal. Like the people that wanted him, Ohio State was after him and offered him.
Texas, LSU, everybody, Florida.
Everybody wanted that guy. He was the real deal. I get that he's not from an established program, but he's also not a one-year guy either. I think we'll see. We'll see if that was a home run. It certainly looked like it in the spring, but we'll see. I think a lot of that had to do with Jermaine Johnson, so let's see what Verse looks like. I don't know how much somebody like Bethune had to do with Jermaine Johnson, but again, you got one of the best linebackers available. I don't know if there's been another linebacker in the portal with more tackles than Bethune had last year. If there aren't many. I mean, you can probably count them on one hand. You got one of the good ones in the portal, and you got Jermaine. You obviously got Jared Verse. I think when you look at what you needed defensively coming into this portal season. Sorry, you knew you needed a defensive end. You might have gotten the most talented one, and then one of them anyway, literally top 3 in the portal. And then you needed a linebacker, and you got one of those 2. Not a guy that's a project, a guy that can plug and play. So I don't know Jermaine Johnson's impact on that, but I don't think it was negligible. I think it did matter when people saw what he did in just his 1 year, right? But yes, I think Mims would have certainly helped everybody's outlook on what this team was going to be and what the portal did. It's still not over, though. Like we said, we still got 3 more days of people entering the portal, and then probably, I would say, 3 weeks of figuring out which guys that are in the portal are coming to your school. I don't think it'll last longer than 2 or 3 weeks because people want to get on with their lives and know where they're going to go to school. So we'll know for sure Aslan, by like the middle of May, probably late May.
Oh yeah.
What this roster is going to be and exactly what the portal did for this team.
Agreed. However, again, I know May 1st they need to put their name into the portal by May 1st to be eligible, but I can just see somebody they're going to somehow put their name in June and get some sort of waiver because of some hardship. That almost makes me more frustrated about NIL and transfer portal more than anything is that there is no – I just wish there was a hard and fast rule. I guess they're trying to this May 1st thing, but there's going to be some sort of gray. We don't even know how many scholarships they really have, how many guys. I know they have the +7 where you can sign 25 guys, right. And that can be part of it, can be high school and transfers, and then 7 that can be, that are strictly for transfers. Like, I don't know how they're going to massage the numbers. I wish he wasn't so coy with us on the things. We've asked him a couple times, Mike Norvell, but he's always kind of been coy, like, hey, like, do you know how many guys you're going to be able to sign here in the next month? Like, yeah, we do. Yeah, bet you wish you knew. It's like, you're right. That's why I asked. But, hey, we all do business the way we want to do business.
Well, and I wrote that story earlier in the week that I think the number was at 82. They were at 82 scholarships right now. He thinks, because some of them you don't know. Like his point was, it's not like Norvell makes a big production when he gives a walk-on a scholarship.
Right.
So we don't know necessarily. It's not like in their bios it says, scholarship guy, walk-on guy. So we don't know in their bios if they've given a kid a scholarship that was previously a walk-on. So we don't know the status. And that's not – obviously we know the vast majority of them are on scholarship. There's a couple fringe guys that might have gotten a scholarship that we don't know about. But for sure, right now – as we speak, and again, as Aslan said, this is Thursday, late afternoon. There's 82 scholarship players on the Florida State roster, and that includes the high school recruits that are coming in. So what the portal's done is it's freed up. You've got what we think is at least 3 spots where they did that for a reason. Like they want to take advantage of those spots and go get a guy, and we'll see what they get over the next. Again, I think in 1 month from today, we'll know. We should know for sure, absolutely for sure, who's going to be on the team. Like maybe a grad transfer, maybe their deadlines are different. I tried to look that up and could not find it. I apologize. I tried to look up if grad transfers have a later date than May 1st to determine if they can go, because I think they maybe could, because maybe they graduate May 10th. And when they graduate, they should be able to hit the portal. They should be able to, their rules should be that they can transfer.
As a grad transfer, right, yeah.
So you still might be able to get a grad transfer even if their name isn't in the portal by May 1st.
See, that's the thing. I got you. Also, Cortez Andrews did enter the portal. He was at Maryland before he came to Florida State, but I think he was a walk-on. I do not think he had a scholarship.
Right.
Grumpy BK adds that he recommends Wake Forest for the kids, Florida to get after it, even though it's scheduled on that Friday after Thanksgiving. Wake is homecoming this year. We like to bring our kids for homecoming, the parade, and a few other family-friendly events. If both teams are decent to good, 3:30, maybe 7 o'clock kickoff if no other great games. Florida scheduled Friday after Thanksgiving, so it will naturally be a night game. I think, that was the whole agreement kind of with the ESPN. It was, all right, we'll do it Friday, but we need to be prime time. I actually don't like the decision since I live in South Florida, but if you're close to Tallahassee, it could be a good one to go to. Rivalry is always fun. Night game atmospheres are great, especially if you can get there early Friday, enjoy the day, and maybe even stick around town on Saturday. Thank you, Grumpy BK.
Yeah, I see you, Grumpy. I think, again, it's Florida. It can be a little dicey. You might see some stuff in the tailgate lot that maybe you don't want your elementary-age kids to see, or maybe you want them to grow up fast. And I'm not saying either way is the wrong way. Just parent.
Yeah. Hopefully you've instilled good habits. They don't wear denim shorts. You don't want kids to see that kind of stuff.
Oh, good point. Very good point.
BC Noles 16. Wake up! All right, Eric Angel, Knoll 43. That's all there was in the BC Noles 16. That's all it was. Just says wake up.
Oh, nice, man. Thanks for that.
Sometimes they do that to reserve a spot in line, but as of right now, it has not gone back in there. I'll hit refresh maybe towards the end. Our guy, Eric Angel, says, Jermaine, you're the best. Thanks for everything you've done for FSU on the field and off the field. Now moving on to our current Noles, I see us going 9-3, which, by the way, clarification, the great Tom Lang did say on the W's and L's portion of the Jeff Cameron show, 1 to 3 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He's predicting 9-3. The 10th win was that bowl game. So We want to get the record to reflect correctly the words that he said. I know on the live show we might have jumped it a little bit, but yeah.
Man, we would do cartwheels for 10-3, wouldn't we?
Woo. But what if we don't beat
9-3
Duquesne?
season, and then,
what if we don't cover against Duquesne?
That's true.
Though?
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take 9-3 no matter how you get there. You've had some good wins, and you feel really good about what's going on with this program. If they 9-3, that might get them to a New Year's Day game, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's saying.
9-3 and then win that game.
He's saying Noles go 9-3, play in a New Year's Six bowl. That is if a record of 9-3 qualifies us. I believe it does. Yeah, I guess it depends on when, or I guess maybe who you lose to. But I feel pretty good about 9-3. Get you in there maybe. Anyhow, hopefully we get some more guys from the transfer portal as that deadline approaches on Sunday. Shout out to the Lady Noles softball as they take on Oklahoma State for 2 games. As always, hit the thumbs up button, like, and subscribe to Warchant on YouTube and warchant.com. Drink the delicious DeLuna coffee. Go Noles all day, every day. Eric from Cincinnati. Hope to see you guys soon in Tallahassee as the calendar turns to May. We'll be here. We'll be here. Old Dad's a Nole. Wake up. It's been a minute. I'd like to ask 2 questions, if I may. Absolutely, old dad. After listening to some draft talk, I saw where the team from the North may have 5 or 6 first-round picks, not even counting Jermaine. So I would assume that's Georgia is the team from the North.
Yeah.
I thought, how is this possible? Maybe old Coach Probst was onto something as far as getting them there. But without looking them up to see what star they were ranked, I wondered how they wound up so good. I watched the Clemson game, the 2 Alabama games, and what I did see were 11 guys playing every play as if their hair was on fire and also being where they were supposed to be. #iDiscipline. That's coaching, in my opinion. Where is FSU, in your opinion, in coaching at that level? It's not like we haven't had 4- and 5-star players the last few years. Yeah, it's tough because I don't know how fiery Dan Lanning really was. I know Kirby is. I know he's very demanding. I think there's obviously a good bit of fire in Odell. I think Adam Fuller's a little bit. He's got a good little balance. He can kind of turn it up sometimes. I think he's kind of nice and even keeled. I think Randy Shannon's much more like professorial. Like he's much more, hey, come over here. This way. He's very calm. I haven't seen him like snap, raise his voice, do anything. He's very, very calm, cool, collected. And so is Marcus Woodson. I don't know if that's.
You think players take their lead from coaches it's not like Irk Russell in the early 80s where he was banging his bald head against Georgia players' helmets and bleeding. I don't know that stuff matters as much. Like you've got to go find guys that play like that are self-motivated, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to go find those guys, man. I don't think Jeremy Pruitt was I don't think Jeremy Pruitt made LaMarcus Joyner and Telvin Smith and Jalen Ramsey play like that. I think they just played like that.
Yes.
And when you see other players play like that, it does become contagious. And yes, the one thing about Georgia, they were as talented as all get out. They lost a first-round pick defensive end and had one of the best defense. He transferred before the season, and they still basically had their whole front 4 drafted. And they're one of the best defenses of all time without Jermaine Johnson. But it's the way it was a pride in the way they played, and they did play with just reckless abandon. They all just, it was crazy to watch that in person and to watch it on TV. And to watch it on YouTube, like all that stuff. It's just watching a defense play like that. It's so noticeable because all the other teams don't. There are only, a handful of teams that just played that hard, like player 1 to player 11, and just rally to the ball like that. It really is fun to watch. I don't know that coaches, I don't know that you can expect a coach, like a fiery coach, to be the reason they do that. They've got to be self-motivated because they're competitors. Because they want to be good, they want to be great, and they want to win, not because their coach is frothing at the mouth. I don't think that's not saying that you don't want coaches that are intense, and they all. I have to imagine most all football coaches, except for maybe Mark Richt, are intense. But like that's to me that has to come from within, and not just come from within like your own self. It comes within the locker room, like that. I think that's just. That stuff manifests itself in practice every day. It manifests itself in the locker room, and it just carries over the games. I don't know that you want to, like the rah-rah speeches and all that. You just need guys that go play hard, man. And I do think, don't you, Aslan? That was one thing you could say about this defense. And going back to Eric with Jermaine Johnson, man, again, we'll talk about that play against Miami for the rest, as long as he's in the NFL. That is this kind of stuff that speaks to a team more than some rally speech from a coach.
Right.
Watching that play in real time and watching it on film. Don't you think that makes more of an impact in how the other 10 guys on the field play the rest of the season when they see that play on a film?
Gosh, but do we see a lot of it though? Yeah, I mean, we
I
saw,
thought they played
flashes.
hard last year, man.
Yeah, we saw flashes, but I mean,
no, they weren't great. They weren't a good defense. They were decent by the end of the year, but I think that was a talent thing. I don't think you'd watch Kalen DeLoach and be like, man, he's soft or he's not playing hard.
Yeah, but George
or Cooper
is
love
scary.
it.
Like how,
that's ridiculous. It was the mindset plus the talent.
Yeah,
makes it ridiculous.
I just think if you ask any kid that went up against Georgia on like an offensive player from Kentucky or Vanderbilt, just give them sodium pentothal or whatever truth serum is. Be like, were you a little bit scared? Like, were you at any point scared in that game? I bet you they'd be like, yeah, a little bit. They were just, they were Diablo, man. They were evil, but like in a good way, I agree with Corey's point. They've got to find that kind of player, but
I think Jamie Robinson's that kind of player.
Yeah.
I think Lovett and Cooper are those kind of players.
Yeah.
We'll see about Verse. We'll see about McClendon. But then I think Bethune and DeLoach are those players. I think Cooper's a player like that. You've got guys that have shown they can be that kind of player, but it's having that mindset of just playing, balls out for lack of a better term, guys. Playing balls out for 60 minutes
with a Z.
With a Z, balls with a Z. Come on, gang, keep it clean. To have it's that having that mindset is one thing. Then go get players that are maybe as we move forward with this program, a tick above maybe what you have now, and that's how you become a top 10 defense. Is you have guys that are really good and talented, are well coached, and they play like their hair's on fire, and they go after every ball and want to send them back. They go after every ball carrier and want to send them backwards every time they get there. I think I saw the element of the mindset. I do think they played hard, man. I think a lot of that came from
Do they have
coaching.
depth? Like were they cycle in a whole bunch of guys?
Up front, the front seven they would. Georgia, you're talking about?
Yeah.
The front even without Jermaine Johnson, the front seven they would. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you see so many teams that just have that sort of pursuit in their DNA where, I mean, it almost is 11 guys running after the ball. Like, I don't know how much of that is a scheme kind of a thing. I don't feel like I can't remember last time we saw that sort of stuff around here. But again, I guess you probably need to have the depth to let guys be able to go do that, let them play free.
Well, and a lot of it is a talent, too. Like, I don't know that Nakobe Dean plays harder than Kalen DeLoach. Nakobe Dean is just better than him.
Yeah, he's more gifted.
He's a lot better than him because Nakobe Dean was awesome. By the way, speaking of Georgia, I think the best player on their whole defense was a kid he wasn't eligible to be drafted. It's that Jalen Carter kid. The other defensive end or defensive tackle, he's incredible.
Awesome, cool.
So Georgia's got him coming back next year, gang. So he's really good.
I think about that. He lost Jermaine Johnson, he lost Justin Fields, but like no one will ever talk about that. It's just the power of winning a national championship. It's it's the greatest elixir.
I'm going to talk about Justin Fields. I'm not forgetting that for Jake flipping from
JT Noles 2K2. Hey, Aslan and Corey, wake up! I'd like to start out by giving a shout out to the great Jermaine Johnson. Love and appreciate him for what he did this past year. Indeed.
Amen. Amen.
Anyway, my question is this. When FSU hosts College Game Day again someday, who should be the celebrity guest picker? I think there's a lot of good options. Brooks Koepka, the mythical Spanx lady, Sarah, what's her? I hate calling this.
Blakely?
Boom.
Yeah.
However, my choice, JT Noles 2K2, for celebrity guest picker would be a duo. And I think it would work because they are both FSU fans and one is even alum. My picks would be Tom Segura and Bert
Kreischer.
Bert the Machine Kreischer. Both are hilarious, and I think I once heard someone on headlines mention Segura. Is that how I say his name?
Yeah.
Segura?
Yeah.
I think these guys would be the perfect choice for the eventual return of College Game Day to Tallahassee. Thank you for answering my question, and I hope everything is going well for you guys. Support our players with YouTube and merchandise as well as the sponsors of Warchant. And as always, go Noles.
A little bit of trivia there, Aslan. Bert Kreischer. You remember the movie Van Wilder?
Yes.
That Ryan Reynolds starred in?
Oh, yeah.
It was based on Bert Kreischer while he was at Florida State.
That was a trivia question. That was a trivia question I think you told me.
Mm-hmm. That was loosely based. And then, like Segura, I used to have a podcast when I was a Democrat called Tuesdays with Corey.
I remember that. I remember it.
Segura was a guest of mine for an hour.
Oh, I didn't catch that one.
Yeah. It was right after his first Netflix special had come out. So I had kind of befriended him, like social media befriended him. Yeah. He started tweeting at Ira and I before like the 2012 season. And I didn't know who he was. And then I heard him on a podcast. I thought he was really funny. So we stayed in, I don't know, semi-regular contact on Twitter, but not much. And then now he's blown up. I mean, it's crazy. I did get to hang out with him. I do have a brush with fame story when it comes to him. In 2016, he was playing a comedy show in Raleigh, and then he got to town that night because he grew up a Florida State fan. If people don't know, if you don't know Tom Segura, he's got like 2 or 3 of the biggest podcasts in the country. He's a really famous comedian now. And anyway, so back then it was right before he became this huge star, but he was still pretty darn big. And he was playing this show in Raleigh, and he was a Florida State fan. He grew up a Florida State fan because he played football in Florida. And he saw that Florida State was playing there that night, so he DM'd me and it's like, hey man, if you're in town, why don't you meet up with me after the show, after your game, because I'll be getting done with my show and we can hang out for a little while. And so I got to go hang out in a bar, sit down with Tom Segura and his opener, who I can't remember his name. I wish I could, for like 2 hours, just drinking beer and shooting the breeze. All right. Me and old Tommy. And now he's like one of the biggest comedians in the world, and probably doesn't remember my name. He is nice, though. Occasionally, like, you got to play it cool, right? When you got a friend that, sort of a friend, I wouldn't call him a friend, but close to a friend.
Is he going to get an invitation to the wedding?
Yeah, he's probably going to play it. He'll be the opening act. But by the way, don't say that as if that's something out there that, like, I'm sure people are listening like, wait, is Corey engaged? So I DM him, like, because he's obviously world famous, and I'm barely Tallahassee famous, so I never want to bother him. But I have DM'd him probably 3 times in the past year.
Yeah, that's
and he's always nice. He always returns the DM and says something nice to me. So I got him in my back pocket. If I'm ever in the same city, maybe I can go have a crazy night with him.
all right. Yeah, I don't know who I'd want to be celebrity guest picker. I like
That's
Brooks.
a good one. Segura and Kreischer are probably good. I think they would worry about what they would do. ESPN, because it's live.
Right.
It's almost live.
Do it live.
And Kreischer, like, always goes around without his shirt on. So I don't know if they'd be worried about what he's going to do. But that would be great because Segura's blown up right as Florida State football has done what it's done. Blown up in another way. So he hasn't had a reason to come to a lot of Florida State games here in the last 5 years.
What about 11? It'll be the season after Meat finally wins College World Series, and they bring 11 onto the desk and just charms them.
Okay.
How about that?
All right. I like Koepka, too.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, Koepka and Berger, Maybe get Jonas Blix, get the whole band back together.
Yeah, just all the pro golfers, sure. And I don't know if Sarah Blakely would come because I don't know if she remembers where Tallahassee is. Just saying. Come on, Sarah. It's NIL, man. These kids will wear Spanx. We know they have Spanx for guys now. I think we looked that up. They can sell you some product. They can move some product for you, Sarah.
M. Adams CZ. It's Mark. He's in Naples, everybody. Wake up. Silly question. But how many strikeouts do you think the softball pitching staff could get on the baseball team in a game? It would be played on the softball diamond, of course.
Yeah, I mean, a lot, right? And I'm not saying that just because it's the Florida State's baseball team strikes out a ton, leads the nation, we believe, but at least leads all of Power 5 in strikeouts. It's the arm angle, right? It's the ball angle. And from that distance, they haven't hit from that distance since they were like 11 years old. The ball's coming 70 miles an hour, and it's doing stuff that balls that they're used to hitting don't normally do. So that's why I would think it would be just like I think, look, I love Kaylee Mudge. I don't know that she's making a ton of contact with Parker Messick. Yeah. The ball does stuff that she's not used to seeing a ball do. It's curving away from her. It's not going up or down. I mean, it's breaking 1.5 feet. It's just 2 completely different ways to try to hit. But yeah, they would struggle with it. Look, they would struggle with it because, Sandra Cock and I forget her name, Watson?
Yes, correct.
Danielle Watson? Yeah. They're very good. But also it's hard to hit. If you haven't done it your whole life, that's a really hard thing to do.
I don't know, man. So 7 innings, 21 possible outs. I'd put the over-under at like 6.5, and I'd probably take the under.
For strikeouts?
Yeah.
Oh no, you're crazy.
They'd
You're
get
crazy.
a barrel on it. And I'm not saying they'd mash, but I think Jaime Ferrer is going to get a barrel on the ball.
I would put it at least 11.
Get out of
At
here.
least.
All right.
Oh, come on, man. They're throwing 70 miles an hour or 68 miles an hour from that distance they're throwing to is the equivalent of like 94 to what they're seeing. So it's not. I mean, it's coming as quick or quicker than what they're used to seeing. Plus, it's moving and it's moving up. Some of them are going up. The changeups, they'll have never seen anything like that in their life.
Larger target, lighter bat. I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah, you're right. But I would think, I wonder the other way. I think it would be about the same both ways. It's a good question. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that in July? What are those kids doing? Come on.
All right, we got a lot to get to still. Just in Mark's question alone, so let's go. Corey, great article on the useless new rule on targeting.
Thank you, Mark.
Speaking of starting safeties, I was at the BC game last November sitting right behind the FSU bench. Boston College's quarterback took off on a run. He's probably 50 pounds heavier than Jamie Robinson. Quarterback starts to slide literally as Jamie Robinson is off his feet, ready to make the tackle. He's a tackling machine. Quarterback starts to slide. You could see Robinson make an attempt to hit him with his shoulder pad, but their helmets somewhat collided. Zero intent to injure, zero evidence of unsportsmanlike conduct, yet he's ejected. We lose our starting safety and our leading tackler in a close game. Absurd. I remember Jamie coming over to the sideline, removing his helmet, and he was practically in tears. Norvell came over, calmed him down, and that's that. I'm all about player safety, but that call was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. Boston College's big quarterback drew the contact by sliding late. Jamie did not target his helmet. It was a football play. Call it a personal foul, but it wasn't even a personal foul. And the fact that the ACC refs had a chance to meaningfully review the play makes it even worse. It is what it is, but it's the equivalent of a kid driving to the hoop in basketball, getting called for charging even though it could have been called a block by the defender. And the kid who aggressively drove to the hoop gets ejected. It's a foul, whatever. Could even be called a flagrant foul, but ejected for what Jamie Robinson did? Question mark. Thanks as always, and Corey, I hope you enjoy several delicious vodka waters at Horizons and try a little vodka with He puts Gatorade. Come on,
He meant
Mark.
Powerade.
He did.
He meant Powerade.
He
yeah.
did. It's called a
Obviously
purple
Powerade.
snake. It's delicious. Go Noles,
Okay.
go Jermaine Johnson.
So purple Powerade with some vodka.
Vodka, yeah.
Might give that a go. The Mios are still doing all right with me, but I'll be honest, I'm getting kind of sick of some of these flavors, so I got to try something new.
Try I don't know if a lot of bartenders know about it. My buddy who is a member at Capital City, we went golfing. It's something called like a transfusion, I think. It's vodka, grape juice, and I think ginger ale. It was delicious, especially now that it's getting hot outside. We drank it on the course. It was amazing. But yeah, check it out. I think it's called a transfusion, Corey.
And what's in it?
It's vodka, grape, like a splash of grape juice and ginger ale. I think, or maybe it's Sprite.
That does sound good.
Yeah. You can look it up.
All right.
All right. Grumpy.
Yeah, I think there should. Do you think there should be just have incidental targeting? Targeting is such a bad word because it implies that you were. That's what your target was the guy's helmet,
right?
And it wasn't. I would say on 90% of them, it's not what they're targeting. So there could be something called
roughness, or
let's just call it incidental targeting. No flag. Sorry, guys. Let's play football. He didn't mean to do that.
Let's call it head contact. That's what it's all about, right? I mean, I think even if Jamie would have used his shoulder, I still think targeting. I mean, I think they'll even use that because it's like you're still. I know you can't lead with the head of your helmet, but I feel like I've seen people still use their shoulder. It's like if you hit anybody in that strike zone with anything on your body, almost
right.
It seems like they're going to call it.
That was such a literally it was so. What made that play so ridiculous is that Jerkovich runs over people like that. Like that's part of his deal is he's a big dude that when he's in the open field or when he's running and it's just one-on-one, he will lower his shoulder. Yeah. And Jamie, we've all seen it, and Jamie Robinson had seen it a bunch on film. So when this big horse of a kid is running at him and he outweighs him by 40 pounds, he's 6'5", 240 or whatever he is, he thinks he's going to try to lower his shoulder. So he girds himself up, gets low to try to make sure he doesn't get past him or run him over. And then all of a sudden the big physical kid decides to slide feet first right into his helmet. I mean, that was just he looked like there's no way on God's green earth Jamie Robinson thought that kid was going to slide in that moment because he doesn't slide, and especially like that was like a run up the middle. It wasn't like he was 20 yards downfield and he was okay. There's one safety. I've got my first down. Let me slide. It was kind of near the line of scrimmage. And my man, he looks like he's in the hole. He's going to run over a safety. It's one-on-one, and then he decides to slide at the last possible second as Jamie's bracing for contact with his waist. And that's what made that play. I mean, just get that nonsense out of football. Get it out.
Grumpy BK's back.
Grumpy Corey.
Right, Grumpy BK. I'll pile on. What's the next most likely game to bring game day back to Tallahassee? It's been 8 years since the last time. Clemson 14. Will it be a resurgent rival climbing back into relevance like Miami or Florida or Clemson? Will it be a resurgent rival climbing back into relevance like Miami or Florida or Clemson holding firm in the upper echelon until we improve enough? Or a marquee out-of-conference matchup? Clearly, we've got to handle our own business to get back to that type of draw, but let's assume we do in time.
Maybe
Bama in 25?
Yeah, the opener. I would say what would
be Clemson, I feel like, because Miami and Florida are always backloaded, especially Miami
but Clemson
now.
would be what, 24? Clemson of 24, right? If you're talking about, because it would be in Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's true.
So it'd have to be either this year with Clemson or 24 in Clemson. So I would get, and then Miami's like the only, I don't know who the other visiting teams will be in 23, but man, they're not coming to an ACC game unless it's Florida State Clemson. Or Florida State Miami. Yeah. So I would say maybe Miami next year if somehow both these teams are top 15-ish. And you know how they love that narrative of the great rivalry restored.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that could happen. If not, I would say 24 Clemson.
Random_John, good morning, with about 17 O's in the good on Good Morning.
Nice.
Aslan and Corey. I hope you're both doing great because something FSU related has to be. While we completely know and understand the woes that plague our football team and that our baseball team is attempting to set strikeout records, today I want to bring some reality home for our basketball team. All right, there we go. I have been reading on the Hoops board that John Butler and Malik Osborne have put their names into the draft. I have also read that Butler has moved out of his place in Tallahassee. It seems both are ready to move on from the metropolis that is Tallahassee. Shocking, as we all know, Tallahassee is a New York City of the South. There's just so much to do here. Anyway, Osborne, I understand. Grown man, I'm sure no amount of NIL could be offered him to get him to stay. Heck, even Polite said peace. Yet Butler, it seems, wants to join his team leaders in the wild yonder of professional basketball. So what is it about a 7-1 guy that would fly away in a windstorm that screams to an NBA team, we must draft this guy without many handles, a bit of a liability on defense, and will be bullied out of any position? Who do you feel will actually have... All right, I guess these are all separate kind of thoughts. All right, yeah. John Butler, really? John Butler moved out? Huh? Really?
I mean, that's speculation, right? We don't know that for sure, and he has not announced, at least at this date, he has not announced one way or the other what he's doing. It would, in my opinion, be a pretty drastic mistake because he's going to be living that G League life, and if he gets drafted at all, which look, he's draftable because of the skill set. He can handle the ball. He's not a point guard, but for 7-1, he can handle the ball. And when he's not airballing threes, he's making them. He's a pretty good shooter, especially for his size. And he projects as somebody like the new wave of centers that can maybe, if you put on 80 pounds, can protect the rim. Well, I mean, he's got a ways to go, right? I mean, good grief. If he can put on 75 or 80 pounds in the next 3 years, he projects as somebody that can maybe do something, right? Like, he can shoot. He's got a really nice shot, a nice stroke, and he probably can protect the rim if he puts on a little more, muscle, a lot more muscle and weight, and eats some cheeseburgers. But that would just be, it would be just a bizarre decision. But the kid, I don't know what he averaged. I could look it up. I assume he averaged 7 or 8 points a game, 7 points a game. Maybe was a star in 2 of them, and then now he thinks he's going to be playing with the best players in the world. Like he's going to be locking up. Name someone. Just he would get it.
Armando Bacot.
He can't play. Yeah, right. He can't play in the NBA. right now. He can't play next year, and he probably can't play in the year after that. He is just not physically ready. And you would think with NIL deals, and I don't know what Butler is commanding on the NIL deal market, or Osborne for that matter, but playing high-level college basketball and all the eyeballs that are on you, to me, is much better than going and trying to play overseas somewhere. Maybe you get in the G League and you get a chance, or maybe, Cabangeli is still floating around in the G League, man. He might not ever get another shot. Raekwon Gray might not ever get a shot. MJ's probably not going to get a shot. The G League is purgatory. And I know it's like, okay, well, you do get paid something. You get paid very little. You get paid less than it costs to go to school for a year. And your whole dream is to make an NBA roster, but, they're a dime a dozen down there, man. And I would hope he would try to, and I'm not saying this selfishly, even if he transferred, he just give college basketball another year or two, man. You're not ready. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Don't leap to the end before you've earned it, because you might be done playing basketball when you're 26 years old. When if you do it the right way and get bigger, stronger, and better and work on your game, you might play till you're 36 years old. But they'll give up on you pretty easily, man, in these leagues. They just will. Like, I'm sure, Al Thornton, he's still playing professional basketball. And he's not a great example because he was still a top 10 pick and made a ton of money, or he was a lottery pick and made a ton of money in the NBA. But he's still playing professional basketball. But because he didn't handle himself great at the early portions of his career, he was written off, man. The NBA never sniffed him again. And that stuff happens a lot with these guys that think they're going to jump to the line. I'm ready. I'll get drafted. They told me I'm draftable. All right, you got drafted 44th. Awesome. What does that mean in your life? What does that mean for John Butler in 2024? It might mean absolutely nothing. You might be playing in the G League or playing overseas, and maybe you could have used those 2 years at Florida State to become a first-round pick, and then they have a real investment in you. You're not Raekwon Gray. They have a real investment in you, and they will they will keep you on the roster for 3 years. You'll make money, and you might get a chance to get better. And we'll see. We'll see. Osborne, though, again, neither one of these guys is announced for sure. Osborne, he's been out of high school for like 5-6 years. So you could understand a kid that's 23 or 24 years old kind of just wants to get on with his life and go see if he can make some real money overseas. But Malik Osborne is not an NBA prospect. John Butler is, but not this version of John Butler, in my opinion.
John Butler listed at 7'1", 190, averaged 6 points, 3 rebounds last season.
Yeah, good luck.
All right, who do you feel will actually have the Trent Forrest leadership moniker bestowed upon them this season? Do you feel our basketball team will begin to slide now that NIL is a thing? Hamilton is not getting any younger, and we cannot seem to keep any continuity for leadership roles on the team. Balsha and Turk leaving last year hurt, Turk being Raekwon Gray. This year it is Polite and Osborne. But, hey, North Carolina's figured out a way to keep their players, so I guess we can chant ACC to that. For some good news, Corner Pocket's open and serving everyone. Warchant still has room for subscribers, and Aslan and Corey are here. Have a great weekend, everyone. Go Noles.
Corner Pocket's always open, gang, even on Thanksgiving. I would say I too am worried about Florida State basketball, and the NIL has a lot to do with it. I don't know what kind of funds are raised for this sport on this campus, but look at how Florida State had recruited over the last, since Beasley and Bacon. I almost said Blakely. Blakely, come on, Sarah. What are we doing? You could help the basketball program too. Since Beasley and Bacon, they have been one of the best recruiting staffs in the country. If they didn't get a 5-star every year, they found a Devin Vassell, and then they would get a Patrick Williams, who was basically a 5-star. Scotty Barnes, like every year they had a great Matthew Cleveland.
Jonathan
they
Isaac.
had a star. Yeah, they had great players. And then you look at what they brought in this year, and there's not star power at all. They brought in 6 guys. Maybe they'll hit on a few of these guys, but all of a sudden Florida State it seemed to me, instead of bringing in a top 10 or top 20 player, they brought in about 5 top 150, guys from number 150 to 110. Just not guys we're used to them bringing in. I thought with the run of success they had, they would start bringing it. They would keep the Isaac train going, and the Scotty Barnes train going, and the Matthew Cleveland train going. And it just, this last recruiting class gave me a lot of pause. Like, well, why is that now? Why all of a sudden is Florida State missing out on all these guys they wanted, that they were really in on, these 5-star guys, these big-time guys? Why did they not come to Florida State? And my thought is the NIL. These kids know they can get – look, Baycott can get himself a very nice deal in North Carolina. So can whoever the number one players in the – like the top 3 players in the country are all going to Duke. Whitehead, I think, is a kid from Florida, or at least he played at that school that Scotty Barnes played at. He's going to Duke. I think the other kid's name is Lively. They have the 3 top players are all going to Duke. I imagine they have nice financial reasons to do so. Florida State can't compete with that anymore. And if the NIL was in place 2 years ago, it's a good chance they don't get Scotty Barnes. So that's the reality of Florida State basketball right now. I don't think it means they're falling off a cliff, but it does give me pause to how NIL is going to work, with how NIL is going to affect a program like Florida State that doesn't have a ton of financial interest in that program compared to the schools they're competing with for recruits like Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, etc.
Yeah, Kyle Filipowski, a 5-star. Derek Whitehead, 5-star. Derek Lively, 5-star. And it was, Monteverde. I think they just want to play with John Shire. That's my thing. All right.
Well, that makes sense. They grew up with Shire. Like, they probably all had Shire posters in their bedroom.
Yeah, I obviously do not keep my eyes that fixate on basketball, but I just, it doesn't feel very encouraging right now. It feels like,
Well, I will say this.
Slippage.
I agree. But I do think this year you do have Cleveland and Worley coming back. You've got some pieces. Matthew Cleveland should be an all-ACC caliber player. I really liked Jalen Worley at times last year. I think there's some stuff to build on. We don't know what the roster is going to be. They did get a shooter from UCF. They did get a shot blocker from the Ivy League in the portal. So it's going to be a new-look roster, but I think there's going to be at least some addition by subtraction when it comes to what was on the team last year to what's on the team this year. So they could be good-ish. But I just wonder if they're ever going to when's the next huge recruit they're going to be able to land, like a Scotty Barnes or a Jonathan Isaac. Are those days over as long as the NIL is currently what it is?
Has Caleb Mills said anything?
No, he's still around.
Right.
You got some dudes, man. But to answer the leadership role, I don't know. Mills is a pretty quiet kid. And
Cleveland, but
Cleveland's got
some seasoned him though. Like who'd he learn from? Malik Osborne.
Yeah, you would have hoped Osborne, but Osborne was hurt for so long. Yeah. But Worley and Cleveland, maybe they're your guys, because they're both fiery, man. Worley was bowing up to kids after hard fouls and stuff. So I like his moxie and his mindset. So maybe he's that guy. Maybe he's the Trent Forrest.
Oh, the end is in sight. 3 more. Dave, Bardstown, Kentucky. Guys got jokes. Bourbon is your friend. Gentlemen, you are correct today, as you record this, which is the 28th. You're enjoying this on the 29th, everybody. Shout out. We were 121 days away from our home opener. That is 11 squared. Speaking of math and the UMass game, my wife and I could not agree on how much to donate to Seminole Boosters last year, so I devised an equation. B plus X times T would be our donation amount, where B is a base amount, $300 for us.
Okay.
X is $20, and then T is the multiplier, which would be the number of touchdowns that we score. My wife felt I deceived her by concealing our opponent that week would be UMass. We scored 8 touchdowns, bringing our total to 560. Because, again, X equals 20, so 20 times 8, that's 160, plus the 300. It's actually 460. You goofed up on the math, Dave.
Come on, Dave. Come on, man.
We scored 8 touchdowns, brought our total to 560. Melissa simply issued an edict that my max was $400, saying the boosters will certainly be hitting us up for more each year. Happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah.
All right. My question this week is, have you ever been pleasantly surprised by a hidden talent or interest from one of the football players? I know Corey's answer. Like any player you found out read Middle English poetry or studied astronomy or could fly hot air balloons or spoke a non-native foreign language. Example, Bjorn Warner speaking German does not count. Or were secretly opera singers. I don't think I have an answer to this one, Corey, but you've got one, so go ahead. Let it
I do? Why do you say that? What's my answer?
Josh Sweat. He puts together computers.
Oh, yeah, the guy that just, we didn't know that. Why would we get to talk to Josh Sweat and ask him cool things about his life? Yeah, he would tear apart, he would break down computers to build them back up, to learn how to do it, which is just crazy. That's an awesome skill to have. I can't even imagine being that bright to do something like that. But, yeah, he would tinker with computers, which was really cool to find out after he'd stopped playing at Florida State. Yeah. There's got to be a million of them, though, right?
I mean, hidden interest. I don't know if it, but it's kind of weird that Harrison. Not weird, but it's interesting that Harrison Prieto wants to be a weatherman. But then again, I don't know. I think does he want to be weatherman like Al Roker weatherman, or like does he want to be at National Oceanic whatever NOAA doing stuff behind the scenes, National Weather Service?
He wants to be flying into hurricanes and stuff. No,
Yeah,
I think he wants to be like on the news.
Okay,
like one of those weathermen.
Yeah.
Like Casanova Nurse.
Yeah, he's tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll help him figure out a cool name too if they don't want to go with Harrison Prieto. I've got experience in doing that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Most of them are like storm weathers with the weather on the sixes and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know if I think Harrison Prieto is not a bad name, but
it's strong.
It's you want to have something that maybe is some sort of weather term. Rainy
Gale.
storms.
Harrison
Gale. There you go. That's nice.
I don't know. Maybe we'll ask around. Again, this always just makes me remember being a kid watching college football on TV, and a guy would make a play. They'd pop up a graphic, a headshot of him, say his name. Derek Brooks, Pensacola, Florida, what his GPA was, and what he majored in. It'd be cool if they showed that stuff again, so we can know maybe what they're interested in doing and studying.
I know Andre Fluellen was an English major.
Yeah.
Remember him? He played in the league for a good long while. Old flu season.
Yeah. He's from Georgia, somewhere in Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I find it very interesting that Derek McClendon apparently is very fashion conscious. I don't know if he's going to be on the cover of GQ
or Esquire.
Esquire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. Island Chief, wake up! Looking into the who of who is available in the portal, who is better than what we have? Very good question. At some point, does it become an indictment of your recruiting and player development if you are bringing in 10 transfers, 8 of whom are starters? Also, the Who are headlining the weekend at Jazz Fest. A good weekend to do some reconnaissance. Laissez les bons temps rouler. Laissez les bons temps rouler.
What's going on? Are you having a stroke?
No, it'd be nice. I think he's to let the good times roll in French or whatever.
Okay. Ira saw the Who this past weekend.
Really?
Did you know that? Yeah,
No.
he went to Jacksonville with Kim and saw the. I forgot to ask him about it. I haven't asked him about it at all.
Yeah,
I want to know how it
put
was.
in the group chat. He's been everywhere. He's gone. Saw the Piano Man. Now he saw the Who.
Yeah, he's doing it, man. He's doing it. Yeah. Seeing all the big acts of today. So what was the first part of that?
Who is better than what we have in the portal?
But
then I feel like we're doing both sides of this almost because there aren't a lot of guys in the portal I think that are significantly better. But then he also adds, at what point does it become an indictment of your recruiting and player development if you're bringing in a bunch of transfers?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so I guess maybe
I would say next year, right?
Yeah, we found a good inflection point, I guess, to where we're not in dire need to clean house in there right now. But man, they better win some football games then, right? I mean, we feel good about a lot of these guys, but they need to prove it that that we should stand pat with them.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a good question about the indictment. I think this is the last year, like next year, because what are they gonna? They might end up with 13 portal guys, right? That's a lot. They might have as many portal guys almost as high school recruits. And if next year you're doing the same thing, well, now you're doing it with your own players. Like still, some of these guys are Willie guys, or let's just say they were guys that were. You only had 2 weeks to recruit when you got the job, so maybe you weren't fishing from the most beautiful pond when you take over in late November, early December, and you only have a couple weeks to recruit. But now that you've had this, you'll have gone 3 kind of real recruiting cycles. I know one was COVID, but then you'll have the not Travis Hunter class,
right,
and then you'll have this class coming up. Well, now all of a sudden, if after this you're still having to go fill all these holes again, where's it's not. Yeah, the indictment would be the evaluation, sure, and also the development. You don't. And my point is, look. Alabama has transfers coming in. Like it's going to happen. You're going to have a spot where you bring 4 or 5 in every year. They all do it. Every big school does it because you miss on some. Some kids get kicked out of school. They're just not any good. They transfer out for one reason or another. So you're going to have to fill some holes. But yes, when you keep having massive holes that you have to fill, that does become an indictment after all. But now, if you keep bringing in really good transfers like Jermaine Johnson's and Keir Thomas's and Jamie Robinson's, and you keep winning a lot of games, it's not that much of an indictment. People put up with it, right? People will be like, well, all right, he's finding a way to get us some wins. But eventually, and I think that's a reason Norvell always says that, right, about the portal. He always makes it very, very clear that he wants to build this program through high school recruiting. Yeah. He makes that clear all the time when he talks about the portal. That first and foremost, it's the high school kids that they want. And I think that has to do with the indictment.
But I don't think there's any Power 5 coach at a program of the prestige level of Florida State that would ever admit that we're going to just rely on the portal. You know, I mean, I don't know how illuminating that is into what he's.
But
thinking.
Don't you think part of it? I mean, he could
forward.
because he had the portal's been very good to him, all things considered, much better than the high school kids he's brought in through three classes. But you wonder, you don't want to keep saying, yeah, we're planning on hitting the portal 12 guys every year, because then number one, what are you saying to the high school kids you just brought in? You got to develop them. They're coming to not only win football games, hopefully, but be developed into maybe NFL players. And you don't want to tell the world that you're going to be portaling over them every offseason. So it's a delicate balance. But I do agree. I do agree that if he has to go into next year and you're like, yeah, they're going to have to get another 14 or 15 guys in the portal, it's like, all right, man. At some point, when are these guys that you've been recruiting and telling us you love their futures and they have a bright future, when are they going to start becoming players?
Would their record have been better if Jordan Travis was healthy the whole year, but they didn't have Jermaine Johnson versus what the reality of 2021 was?
They beat Jacksonville State, but I don't know. Maybe they don't beat Miami. It's a
interesting trade.
Good question. Yeah, I would think they'd be better because quarterback's more important than defensive end overall. Obviously, it's the most important position in sports. But man, Jermaine Johnson was so big for that whole defense. It's hard to quantify.
All right, last one. It's our guy. It's been a while. It's Daryl, Thomasville, North Carolina. Cap and D_63. Good afternoon, Corey and Aslan. Hope you two are doing great. He wrote great in all caps.
Nice.
Thank you, Daryl. First of all, by the time the show airs, I'm like all FSU fans celebrating the first-round pick of our own, Mr. Jermaine Johnson. That's right. That is right. Secondly, I watched your Wednesday show and many FSU hypotheticals about whether or not we would maybe lose to Duquesne or beat LSU, Miami, so forth. My question to you two is this. Why would any FSU fan want to lose any game and to trade that game for any other game on the schedule? I've been an FSU fan since 5 years of age, and there is no way I would trade any game hypothetical or any otherwise loss for a win. I want to win them all at no cost. What say you all? SupportWarchant.com. Support those that keep this podcast running. And, of course, hit those thumbs up buttons. And most of all, support and give to FSU Athletics. Go Noles!
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment.
It's April, Daryl.
It is April, Daryl, but I would say this, I get the sentiment, but we've all watched the last 5 years. Losses have mounted to the point where you do bargaining with yourself. All right, man. Okay, yeah, I'll take 8-4 if they beat these two. You're not going 12-0, so a lot of Florida State fans have kind of adjusted their point of view with good reason because they're used to losing more than they win over the last 5 years. So I think that's what that stems from.
All right.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's for sure. Yeah, it's how we communicate these days because we know it's not like, hey, which playoff? Where's the playoff at this year? Are we going to be in Scottsdale? You think, or you think they'll throw us in New Orleans again? Well, maybe not because we opened the season in New Orleans. So we need to find things to talk about, and it's
right.
Would you rather beat Miami or Florida? These time-tested questions. There was one the other day. Yeah, our guy Drill Sergeant Porter. Shout out to Drill Sergeant Porter. was asking about like best home game atmospheres, and I wanted to reply to it, but I thought it might come off like rude. But I love Drill Sergeant Porter. I just want to be like, the year is 2047, and some young person comes on warchant.com and asks, what was the best home atmosphere in Florida State? And the answer remains the same as it's been for the last 30 years, and that's 2011 Oklahoma. That's just like that game. That just, well, we'll keep asking that question every year.
Right.
Somebody like, what's the best atmosphere you've ever been to? And then, the answer will remain the same. So,
No, it's not my answer, but I get it. It's your answer.
well, okay, what? In the Erector set back in '89 or something? Come on, Gramps. What do you got?
The '98 Florida game is my all-timer.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was raucous. That was like Woodstock. That was magical.
That was crazy, man. I was not in the student section, but I was young enough to like enjoy what was going on. And when Peter Warwick scored on the ball that should have been a pick six, that place went. I mean, if you watch the replay, it looks like a rock concert. It looks like a rock concert. Like the Backstreet Boys just started with their big hit, and the place is going nuts. I was trying to think of a 1998 rock club in there. I know they're not rock, but I was either like that or Oasis. Like I couldn't think of anybody in '98, but like, I mean, that place just go. It's like people flying all over the place. They were going so crazy in the student section. So that to me is still the all timer. But 11 is right up there, man. The thing with 11 was, it was very loud the whole time, and then the Rashad Green play, that might have been the single loudest moment that's ever been in that stadium. That place, like the press box was shaking.
It had been so long. There was so much build-up. It was a night game, and we felt. I mean, I'm literally getting goosebumps right now just thinking. I remember that game so not vividly, the ins and outs of how the game played out, because I don't remember any game for some unfortunate reason. I just remember all my friends coming up for it. I flew down for it, and just the energy that entire day. Wish it would have worked out, but
what can you do?
I'll always remember it. Also, this weekend, TCU comes to town in baseball. Oklahoma State is on the diamond against Lonnie and the softball team, so we'll have plenty to talk about and wrap up on the Monday program. But do tune in for the Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock. He'll have, I'm sure, a full wrap-up of the NFL draft and some thoughts on maybe this baseball series as they take on TCU. What do you think about Bryce Hubbard moving down to Sunday? He was a little bit ill, and Carson Montgomery's going to go Saturday, Corey.
I mean, we'll see.
Very good. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.